Good morning, everybody. Not much happening here. Over to you, Dan. I'm kidding, but there isn't much happening here. So yesterday we expected what we got pretty much. Um, Turning up at this resistance area, and so it's that resistance uh, dipped down to support, came back up, and we'll see if we can get through here today, and whether this grows as a topping tail or something more. Right now, as you can see on the 5-minute chart, it's grinding down with lower highs and lower lows. And as it comes down, I guess, into this area here, we'll see if it stalls. It tries to turn around, inside weak so far. And, you know, from a swing trading perspective, it just doesn't present us anything. If this turns into a green bar, well, hangs up here or, gets above here today, well, at least that would suggest a move up toward the highs. But, it's a wait and see. Right now, it's just consolidating the move off of the low. It's the big, the drop. And as I mentioned yesterday, this is the area typically where it would make a reversal and head back down again. So we wait. Same story here in YM, made the new high, topping tail range expansion bar, drop under both pivot lows and stop there and this gap fill and rising 50 MA and same churning to the downside on the 5-minute chart. And this one's reaching that pivot low. See how much it stabilized. Now this one popped up above that high a little bit more, right? The S&Ps just stopped there. So this had a little rejection. See how far this gets. And Qs, this went down the hardest. It was leading the way down. And while it's just kind of hanging there today, you could see a similar pattern of, popping up toward that resistance area and getting rejected. As far as today goes, it hasn't violated any support, but, what we want to see, as something comes up to resistance, if it's as bullish as, let's just say, was suggested to be by the move up, we know this came down a whole heck of a lot. It hit this support. So the reaction back up is normal, but he got a wide range bar here, after the turn. So that is power. And it pulled back. It hit the pivot. It turned back up again. And so with this type of a bar, wide range bar, well, this one's in a downtrend, but had it been in an uptrend, like say what broke out like this, broke out of a consolidation, and we want to see the candle body stay in the upper half. Well, this one just took off, but here's an example. It stayed in the upper, the top, maybe top 10%. And then we got a little correction bar right there. So we got no correction bar here, but it dipped down past the halfway bar and came back up. So that's a positive, but it's not taking out any resistance yet. So it was a big spike down at, this morning. Don't see anything here on the 5. Just kind of churning up there, and futures are going down, that's normal. Yeah. The Russell up a little deeper into this resistance. We're getting rejected right here. And So there's nothing there. And it just more or less lost momentum, and maybe it was dragged down by the others when they started to go down. Um, but it's in an area where sellers should show up, and they are. So again, we'll wait and see how this shapes up here today. I mean, this one has the greater probability, I think, to move higher if it turns around here, since it really has nothing to the left to stop it from going up. And that is, what I call the weakest link, is these wide range bars that are power bars. And this one followed through. But now the depth of retracement here is it's in a trading range. It's just a big mess. But, just looking at this from the point of view of these bars, most times it won't get this far. So, having this bottoming tail bar, it didn't take any prior bars lows, but, just because there's a topping tail bar today doesn't mean it's going to stay a topping tail bar. So, if this can go sideways here, I'll be looking at this for a long, because the weakest link being wide range bars, being power bars, they do create voids. But what's supposed to happen, that just large amount of supply that drove it down, or void of demand, right? Well, the supply is supposed to keep coming, and that's what happened here. But then, as it got all the way down to the bottom of the range, all the buyers come in, and this type of sharp drop just leaves nothing to stop it from going up. So what has to happen is the concept that we call creating resistance. And that begins by, a rejection, a breakout failure, and pivots close together. And so does it keep falling down to the next level? And, from the 5-minute chart with, this arrangement, I look at that, well, I don't end here where it's coming to a pivot low, but because in addition, it fell so far, fast, which creates a little void above. So taking a little time in this area to see whether it can pop up or not, I'm looking for that information, and then maybe it goes all the way back down here. So, and then, what happens if it does that and stays down there, what this starts to look like. We would be talking tomorrow about, okay, here's the rejection and the sell setup, and looking for this to go down. And then we go back and look at the other markets and see if the topping tail complete by the end of the day. And we do the same thing. We look for markets in alignment with each other. Do all of these form bearish bars today? And if they do, well, then that strongly suggests that markets will go down. Bonds doing nothing. It's quiet. 10-year doing nothing. Oil, just jiggling back and forth, little rejection at the highs, no big deal. It's getting close to this resistance area that it corrected from over several weeks. So obvious place where sellers would show up again. Gold had the big day yesterday, clearing these highs, and that area where it couldn't get through after the reversal. Would expect it to stall, and it's stalling for now. And silver, still grinding up there. So we looked at a silver stock at the end of the day that was breaking out. That looked, I don't know why I didn't look at it this morning. It was an AG. I bought that at the end of the day. And I see these pivots here, but gap, here's the first turn. You get a red bar, it gaps down, comes right back up again, down to the bottom of the wide range bar, right back up again. So, while it may take a day or two here, it jiggles around, it should get through there. So wait and see. And looking at wood, since everybody's talking about all this inflation, wood doing nothing. And well, the euro broke out above here. And so we don't usually trade this. We've got enough to trade between the stocks and the equity futures. Um, but just keep an eye on this, because what is the dollar going to do? It's at a bit of a critical place here. It's been under pressure. It's stabilizing, but if it starts to break under these lows, um, it's something to take note of. So you may want to set an alert to see if UUP or if the euro starts breaking higher. And the others, you can see they're all green, but the yen isn't doing much, but coming up to the top of a bar. Well, when you get a dollar that's going down, your dollar isn't going to be buying as much if you go overseas. Things become more attractive to those currencies that are now worth more than ours. And, products of companies, McDonald's now goes over and sells a hamburger over there. And, they get paid in pounds, bring it back and convert it to dollars. So, their bottom line looks better. Cheap dollar people come here and, let me come over here with my euro and I can buy that house that's listed over there and for a nice discount. So, there's advantages and disadvantages. And transport's just stalled there. It came down kind of hard, but higher low. And we'll see if it makes a higher high. So, we're in monitoring mode here. Stay out of trouble. Trade the patterns that you always trade. What's showing relative strength. Bottoming patterns tend to be treacherous. The Disca yesterday, whoa. I mean, I traded the turn here. I gave it a little room. Right? It was into the gap fill and half the shares, twice the stop. And I thought that would do it. So, it was a loss. Wasn't really any big deal, but it sure is reinforcement why you take your stops and adhere to your plan, because I did think it would go down and tag the 200. I actually said that. But, when something has fallen this far, this fast, and it begins to turn like that, usually they pop back up. And I gave it enough room to make a little bit of a lower low. Remember in the room, I said, I'm giving it a little room because sometimes they make a lower low and then turn around. And it hit my stop, done deal. And it went down almost another 2 points. So sometimes things happen that don't seem like they will. And, this thing got killed pretty darn good. We'll see if it holds for 200. Yeah, I know it gapped up, Sam, on the news, and it fell apart. Can I go over Bitcoin? Yeah, sure. There's the futures, and as you can see, it's got a top in place. It's got a new high, failure, kind of like a head and shoulders top, breaking down under what's called the neckline. Downtrend here, intraday.
Well, Greg, look at the monthly. We posted a climactic sell setup on that monthly about 3 weeks ago, or
Yeah.
a month ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, here's the distribution pattern, the head and shoulders top, whatever, bumpy shoulders, but every head and shoulders top, what we would call a shakeout, always has a new high that fails and then breaks down under support, where it's in an uptrend It breaks out, it fails, it makes a lower high. And then as it breaks down, it opens up the door. You look to the left and you say, well, the 200 is at 32,000. So that's an obvious place. So there you have it. All yours, Dan.
Yeah, hey Joe. You know what got me looking at that, Joe, was just a local barroom chat with friends of mine, and they were on a Bitcoin discussion, and it was right around when coin was becoming public, and it was well, two things. We already talked about. I said I got zero interest in coin when everybody and their cousin and brother and Uber driver is bullish on it. But secondly, what got me looking at Bitcoin was a wealthy Canadian friend of mine on Bitcoin, and he's like, "Hey Dan, I got an extra just 100,000 I got to do something with the next couple months. What do you have any ideas? Should I put it in Bitcoin?" I just said, Dave, I do not go into anything where the monthly is vertical. He says, "Oh no, Bitcoin's going to go sideways. Yeah, I know it's resting. I watch it every day. It's going to go sideways and then it's going to sprint up to 100,000." I said, Dave, you're talking to the wrong person. I got nothing for you, but except it's not what we do. All right, so enough on that. Jose, Den, Silver, Den, beautiful 15-minute chart. Not great swing, but over yesterday's high for a day trade, absolutely. Thomas, you're late on silver. It still looks higher. We got, yesterday was the entry, is what I'm saying. Yes, it looks higher, but the more you wait to get into a moving trend, the higher risk it is. You're just getting on board a moving train is all. BP, um, yeah, yeah, all time frames. I'll put that on the list. Um, that's right. It's up 3 bars at resistance, but if it can go sideways for a day or two, daily, weekly, monthly look fantastic. Monthly looks like it might go to 33. So yeah, that's a definite watch. And oil's been strong, inflation trade, all that. Yeah, plug is on my list for bottoming pattern. Yeah, the target wasn't as good, but it's the same type of flavor. We entered triple D yesterday, and also Lazar, another type of little bottoming action here. And then we entered a third one. What's your name? Uh, we entered a third little bottoming pattern. Oh, it's not jumping out at me. All right, let's continue here. All right, BP, Mitch. Okay, see, before I was seeing a gap up at 144. And if it is a gap at 144, then 30-minute high, I like a put spread. Looks like I lost my pre-market. Yep. All right, Blink here. Here's another one, similar bottoming pattern, 180 reversal. And we had a long discussion thing. I don't know if you're here listening. We had a long discussion in the room yesterday about where relevant resistance is. And this is a big old fluid move down. We got an inside bar here, so there'll be some resistance. But so my target on this would be these overlapping bars and then this topping tail. So this I like a lot. And it looks like it's gapping right to yesterday's high. I'm going to put that in a window on my other computer. That's Blink. Nice potent reversal at the 200 and a prior low. This is therapeutics, but gapping up 78, 79 from a bottoming pattern. I like the gap reversal here. It made new lows in May, snapped right back. A weekly bottoming pattern. So that, I know we don't like to trade bios, but that could be a put spread. Now, see, this was a potential bottoming pattern, and we did an MT live recently on when to enter bottoming patterns. And this one gave us no entry. This one's just a dead animal going down. There was no turn, and now it's gapping down to 81 cents. That thing might go to zero. Oh yeah, Joe, I just read what you typed. Exactly right. Proper trading is proper thinking. Exactly. Exactly. You got to understand what moves people, sentiment, what moves stocks, imbalance of supply and demand. Not a stupid analyst or an earnings report. All right, the big gappers here today on earnings. Home Depot. That would have been a beautiful short, but for earnings, so it's gapping up 3.25. Gapping right. Well, you see the resistance right here on the 15, but we'll keep an eye on it. And whenever you look at Home Depot, you look at its cousin, Lowe's. No great pattern. Nothing there. What was the other one? Walmart. Walmart blowout, whatever. Big old gap, gapping up to there. That will be a watch to day trade long on a pullback, sell put spreads. Then you look at his cousin, Target, gapping up, coming in, no pattern. Costco. Costco strong. Um, Valerian, INGR, WBS. That was a nice 1, 2, 3 and continuation pattern. Lovely, lovely monthly. That's kind of a pseudo reverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder. This bottoming tail is actually the head. Right shoulder. That's worth watching. I like that. What's going on the list? Up 3 bars, but yesterday was a continuation pattern. Went under the low and snapped right back. WBS. Saying again, what's relevant resistance? Well, this is relevant. It did break out, but look over here. So this needs to go sideways before I have any interest in that. There's no price void on that. Jets, yeah, that's we mentioned it yesterday. We scanned the sector. I think Jets might be setting up a nice intermediate term bullish entry here again on the weekly and monthly. Olivier, Boeing. I like, we did the same analysis yesterday. I like Jets better than Boeing. Boeing's still in a downtrend. So I got zero interest in Boeing. But Jets, yeah. Diego Nicola. Bottoming pattern. Bottoming pattern over yesterday's high. Yeah, I'll put it on the list. John. NVIS. It's a bottoming pattern, day trade. It's gapping over yesterday's high. So, you just put it in a window, whether it's 5, 10, 15-minute high. You just put it in a window and see how it sets up. XHB here, I put here because I had a housing number. McGraw said it was disappointing, which is why the future sold off. But at least as of now, I see a few prints going up. Tesla, this has been relative weakness of the FANGs. And I saw some guy on CNBC today saying he was putting I didn't recognize his name, but he must run a fund, obviously. But he's putting a $500 million bet against Tesla. So that's fighting the trend. Seems like, the majority of the people are bullish. $500 million is a pretty big number. A coin is at all-time lows and looks lower. That's a bearish pre-market consolidation right there, folks. That's gapping to this pivot, afternoon pivot, and going sideways. This could be setting up a day trade short. That's an ugly pre-market for the bulls. A pretty one for the bears. Um, yeah, I have no idea. Runes. See, I don't even. I don't know. Unless it's kind of intermarket analysis, or the news helps me kind of give me an extra 10 points, so to speak, in my setup. I don't think too deeply about things. All right, P-ton, you want to do 98,103. Sure, 98. Yeah, I mean, it's a sloppy sell setup, but yeah. Yeah, it's gapping up a little bit, so maybe 5-10 minute low. Make sure it just doesn't start ripping for some stupid reason. Here's semis 571. So 30-minute high, 30-minute high. NVIDIA is a put spread idea. T. Greg mentioned the Disco stocks. Look at Fort AT&T. That is one nasty reversal bar. Wow, look at Home Depot, bottom right. Wow, thing just filled the gap. That's not good. And Lowe's was weaker, so maybe Lowe's will be in play to do a short. But Port T, there's nothing to do with it. Jets we talked about. This gap in 1168. That's ugly. IQ gapping up 1352. Okay, so the question is that a significant enough reversal as a bottoming pattern? My answer, I have absolutely no idea. It's a bullish gap, I'll give you that, but we don't know how it's going to end. It's still in a nasty downtrend. Wow, look at Home Depot, bottom right. Oh, thanks, Robin. All right, you know what? If this goes sideways for an hour or two or three or four and takes out yesterday's low, we still might get our short. TSM 113, gapping from major support, but I personally don't like ADRs unless you can get a put spread. PSTH, this one actually, what's the dude's name? I forget, but Ackman, yeah, thanks, Bill Ackman. So this I read about in Barron's. There was an article in Barron's on the weekend that was talking about how all these SPACs are getting killed, and most of them come out at $10, and like 2/3 of them are under $10 now, and they were saying that this one is holding up the best, and it is. So that's a bullish pattern with a price void. So here's another example of where's relevant resistance. Well, it's already cleared this one, so that one's nothing. It's at resistance here, yeah, but this suggests he'll go through it, and then I got a price void. So this one has a target to these overlapping bars of like 2750. So that one's a watch. CPNG alarm, Sapung. Sapung. I like to pronounce my symbols. That's Sapung. Let's watch 30-minute high. Blink, I said, was on my watch list. 30-minute high or whatever. JP Morgan, we have a put spread that's acting well. Just glancing at my opens. In the airline space,